All right, well, we're just waiting for a couple more people. Taking a few deep, slow inhales and exhales. So if you could breathe into the bottoms of your feet. Taking a few deep, slow inhales and exhales. Creating a field of nothing. Scanning your body for any tension. Where is the tension in the body? Is there tension in the jaw, in the face? Allowing your awareness to rest, relax, and unwind. Any tension in the body, resting, relaxing, unwinding. Inhaling into any tension remaining in deeper layers in the body. Exhaling and releasing, unwinding, resting, relaxing. And from this space, connecting into the earth, allowing the energies of the earth to rise and meet the body, allowing this earth energy to ground any excess energy in the nervous system, any mental activity, sometimes when you get so relaxed, you just become aware of mental activity, not necessarily your mental activity. So allowing any movement sensed in the mind to be grounded out by the energies of the earth. And connecting into source, wherever and however you feel this, whether source is within you, source is above you, enveloping you, however, wherever, and in whatever way, allow the energies of source to raise the frequency of every cell in your body. Silently requesting that light and unconditional love be sent to every cell in your body. Just witnessing, feeling, that energy of source infusing your being. Pulling any unhealthy energies out of your field. Feeling, seeing, knowing this, whatever way it comes to you. Just commanding and requesting that today's session be the most beautiful, expansive, transformational, easeful, graceful, loving experience that we could ever dream of asking to receive for ourselves. Asking that all understanding be easily given and received, so that we may all grow in the highest and best way. Just commanding and requesting that the energy of Aloha Ma fill the space, the energy of self-reflective love, the energy of regenesis, our regenesis, the world's regenesis begins with this energy of Aloha Ma. And before we begin, just a few little downloads. Just allowing anything in that feels good to you. Remember that you always have choice in the development of your consciousness in whatever way feels right for you at any time. It's commanding and requesting that the following downloads be given to you across all dimensions, time, and space, throughout all languages that you speak, past, present, and future, throughout all layers and levels of being, physical to ethereal, integrated perfectly throughout all bodies down to the cellular level, that you know what it feels like to be loved, that you know how to be loved, that you know how to slow down enough to receive love, that you know what it feels like to receive love, that you know source's definition, truth, and value of receiving love from the highest perspective, that you know that it's possible to feel aloha, that you know what aloha feels like. You feel aloha. That you know how to trust yourself, that you know when to trust yourself, what it's like to trust yourself. That you know how to trust your body, when to trust your body, what it feels like to trust your body, that it's possible to trust your body. That it's okay to feel your feelings, that you know what it's like to feel your feelings, that it's possible to feel your feelings, and that it's okay. That you have the creator's truth definition and value of feeling your feelings from the highest perspective. That you know what it feels like to relax, that you know how to relax, that you know when to, and that it's possible to relax in any circumstance, under any condition. That you have the creator's truth definition and value of causeless joy, of causeless peace, of causeless ease, commanding and requesting that any excess information and corrupted data within the nervous system is pulled, cleansed, and cleared. Replaced with unconditional love and light, and your soul's highest, best, and most optimal understandings, perspectives, perceptions, and realizations for your soul at this time in accordance with your soul's connection to source. That you know how to speak, when to speak, what it feels like to speak for your highest and best. That you know how to articulate yourself, that you know what it feels like, and it's possible to articulate yourself perfectly without ideas of articulating yourself imperfectly. That you know how to name and identify whatever it is inside, without, or throughout your being, your life, and your reality that needs to change. That it's easy for you to witness what needs to change, and that you know how to change it, when to change it, that it's possible to change it And you have the Creator's truth definition and value of the courage, the tenacity, and the availability to make the proper changes as they are needed, when they are needed, for your highest and best. And downloading for you that you know what it feels like to listen to yourself, how to listen to yourself, what it feels like to listen to yourself on all levels, that you know how to recognize clairvoyance in yourself, that you know how to recognize clairaudience in yourself, claircognizance in yourself, and omniscience in yourself. That you have the Creator's truth definition and value, that it is easy to know, see, feel, hear, and understand from all your higher senses with ease. That you know what it feels like to know, what you need to know, and only when you need to know it. And until then, you don't know. And that you are comfortable in not knowing. That you know what it feels like to be comfortable in not knowing. That it's possible to be comfortable in not knowing. And that you can trust yourself when you don't know. Commanding and requesting that any beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, perceptions, or consensus realities that are incongruent with these downloads on any layer level of your being, your nervous system, your mind, your spirit, your genetic history, throughout all ancestral or descendant lines, through the maternal or paternal lines, anywhere and anywhere where there is disresonance with these downloads, that is in accordance with your soul's highest, best, and healthiest, for these to be cleared, cleansed, purified, and returned to God's light, and replaced with the downloads that have already been given, and whatever else is in your highest and best at this time. And if that feels good to you, just letting that in. And finally, that it's easy to learn, that you know how to learn, that it's possible to learn and absorb information easily. And that you can perfectly apply whatever you need to as is needed. And that you can trust your journey along the way. And that you have the confidence to grow, that you know what it feels like to have the confidence to grow, that it's possible to have the confidence to grow. That you know what it's like to live life iteratively. That you can play and have fun in the iterative process. Learning through trial and error. And knowing that you're always supported by Source in whatever way you call that. God, universe, Source, creator of all that is, your inner truth. Commanding and requesting that the relationship between you and that, whatever that is for you, be made easy, apparent, and more intimate in whatever ways are the highest and best for you at this time. And asking that anything that is disresonant with that deeper connection, which provides the healing and the resolution of all inside, without, and throughout your being, asking that this disresonant energy be pulled and replaced with source that you are, that I am now. It's commanding and requesting that the left and right hemispheres of your brain be balanced in the highest and best way. Pulling any frequencies of substance use from the brains, replacing it with harmony, thank you. It's done, it's done, it's done. Show me. Just connecting back to source, however you feel that, allowing that energy to overlight your entire being once again. Connecting with the earth, feeling super grounded and good in your body. And slowly but surely, we can start out with just some introductions. There's some people who are going to be here in the course who are not here today. We did intro to Regenesis the other week as well. So they're not here today, but it's going to be a fun group. So I'm excited to meet more of you. And yeah, tell me your name, something cool about yourself, and what inspired you to be here. Yeah, and if you guys need a short little break too, looks like some people are perhaps going to the restroom, so we can also just wait a minute. Yeah, feel free to write down any insights that you received during that. When we enter that theta brainwave space, really begin to pull a lot of information that we're unaware of otherwise. Same brainwave that you enter in hypnosis, in the dream state, between wake and sleep. More like daydreaming. So entering the state of nothingness before you begin any kind of regenesis is super important. All right. Wow. Well, what inspired me? Why am I doing interior design, anatomy of a healer? So my name is Barrett. Yeah, honestly, like this path of my life was not something that I ever imagined myself doing, although I kind of always knew it was going to happen, but I always tried to avoid it. And I just wanted to live like kind of a normal life as a kid. But when I was a child, I was getting lots of like stomach aches and kind of like migraines, and these angels came to me in my room, and they taught me how to do energy healing. And I grew up in a Pentecostal church, so hands-on healing wasn't something strange. It was something that just happens all the time. Of course, with the context of the Holy Spirit. So it was interesting to have this experience, but there was something about it was like, I feel like this is not necessarily meshing with my family's faith. But I continue to just hone these little exercises that we'll be going over later, that these angels taught me. And I kind of just kept it to myself until 2012, sort of, when I had a boyfriend at the time who I really trusted, and to not like think I was weird for doing what I was about to do, because I didn't know about Reiki. I didn't know anything. I was just like, I'm this little kid, these angels taught me how to do energy healing, that's all I know. And my ex had really deep stomach issues that were undiagnosable, and one night I was just like, he was really in pain, and I was like, can I just try something? So I like put my hands on his stomach, did what I would do for myself, and suddenly he's like, yeah, I don't know what you did, but I don't have any stomach pain anymore. So that was when a light bulb went off, and I was like, okay, this is something that is real, that can actually stop. I'm not just making it up in my mind. And then I went to school for finance and went down this whole other route. But there was always this like desire for this kind of information, and playing with these things. And my dad in high school developed diabetes, and I remember him saying, oh, it's incurable, and I just was like, no, it's not. So I really got into herbs, found him a bunch of herbs. Year later, he was testing negative for diabetes. 10 years later, still testing negative for diabetes. The doctor was like, this is impossible. But they finally removed him from the hospital list for diabetes. And that was sort of the beginning of me realizing, like, okay, like what is being told is not necessarily the truth when it comes to health. But things started to get really exciting, actually, with the same ex-boyfriend, because then I started to realize things could be incurable, things could be energetically shifted and healed. And that began when my ex cheated on me and gave me HPV, or anal warts. And for an entire year, I was trying to do everything holistically. Monolaurin, ozonated olive oil, tea tree oil, like all the things that I could possibly think of in order to get rid of it, because it was like 30 inside, outside. It was like horrifically annoying every single day, and nothing would touch it. And one night, I had sudden spontaneous forgiveness, and it literally felt like it just washed over my entire being. Complete forgiveness for the experience, for what he did, all of these things. And the next morning I woke up and I was taking a shower and noticed that I didn't have any warts. And we're talking like 30 of them to like 0 overnight. No scarring, no nothing, as if nothing had ever happened. And it took me a while to like integrate that, like, or how is this possible that things can shift so instantaneously, that the body just responds in that way. So that kind of just like was in the background of my awareness as I continued my early 20s, experimenting with like psychedelics and journeying in consciousness in that way. And then I went into orthobionomy and massage therapy in San Francisco. And in orthobionomy, we started to learn about how the body actually responds to trauma. And you're moving with the direction of the body's response. So it's kind of this counterintuitive thing where, you know, all the emotional healing, all the body healing, everything that I'd come up to learning into that point was to kind of move against something, right? That's like allopathic medicine. We have like this symptom and we're going to attack this with that. You know, there's a bacteria, there's a virus, there's a fungus, and it's a threat to our safety. So we need to like dominate that and bring it into alignment, versus this other idea that was inherent in the principles of orthobionomy, which is moving with the direction that the body is responding to something. And I took that and brought it into emotional wellness. And I expanded that into group work, where you're moving with the energy of the group in a particular direction to unwind the nervous system. And what I found was, when I was working with people in orthobionomy, I would begin to, instead of focusing on their body and them having an emotional response, I would work with their emotions and their physical would unwind. So they would have this like trauma and I'd be like, oh, let's work, you know, we're just doing an emotional session. And all of a sudden their shoulder is relaxed. I used to do anal de-armoring for clients, and I had actually an ex-partner that was really wound up like emotionally, and through anal de-armoring had a complete personality shift just by moving that trauma that's stuck in the tissue, the issues in your tissues. So body-based stuff was always really exciting to me. And as I started to explore more of orthobionomy, I thought, like, how far does this go, you know? So moving from orthobionomy, I started to explore more energy work, channeling work, and applying those same principles. Like, people would come and be like, oh, I'm angry, like, how do I get rid of this anger? And I'd be like, no, like, go further into it, like, become more angry, you know, or more sad, or more whatever. Balancing out these energies, because we're trying to push away from something and we're actually just creating more time for ourselves in this polarity. So within the same time frame, I one day was at a grocery store in San Francisco, And I just thought to ask my body, like, hey, body, like, what else? Is there anything else you need? And in my mind, I hear the word kelp. I'd never looked up kelp. I don't know what kelp is good for. But I went and found a kelp extract and started taking it. And in 2 days, I feel absolutely incredible. And I find out that kelp is actually, it's iodine, and it helps fix thyroid issues. Well, I didn't know that I had a thyroid issue, nor did I know that kelp would fix it, but my body knew both. And so that was me beginning to realize, like, oh, wait, there's like an intelligence inside the body that's connected to all of life far beyond anything that I could learn. So how can I tap more into this to really understand, like, the magic that is life? And what would it be like to know what we need just by asking the body? Like, there's so much that doesn't always make sense in our journey. I was vegan for 15 years and suddenly my body's like, we're going to have organ meats for a couple months. That was one of the most profound things that I've ever experienced. Now I don't do organ meats, but it's listening to the body in this intuitive way that can unlock things that weren't possible because we weren't deeply listening. Later in my experience, let's see, what ones do we share first? Okay, so when I actually came to Maui back in October, and I suddenly had COVID and mold poisoning simultaneously. And I went to meditate, and well, I mean, that's actually all I could do because I was in so much pain. And I went in, and I typically do not take painkillers. I use the painkillers as an access point to meditate with whatever is arising. I went in to meditate with this pain and started realizing there was all these different memories that were coming up related to the pain. Like, you focus into the pain and then you're like, oh, where does this take me? What kind of emotion is in this pain? What kind of feeling is in this pain? And starting to unwind that by just moving with the energy in the same way that you would move with orthobionomy, and moving in the direction, really feeling. And, you know, we're going to get into all techniques to actually do this. But just as an example, moving through these energies, going through the different layers of what was there. And by the time I was done with the meditation, I no longer had COVID. Because I didn't have COVID. I had a set of symptoms that were arising at that moment. And the activation that allows for that to come out was what we would call COVID. But the symptoms of what's arising are actually what's leaving the body. It's not what's coming into the body. So instead of viewing this as a threat, I viewed it as something that was helping me pull something out that was ready to leave. And because my journey, as many of you know who have worked with me early on in life, was mostly blackouts, because the trauma was so intense, I wasn't there for it. My journey's kind of been like this super naive, like, oh my God, had no idea that was there because I wasn't there for it. So it's been tenderizing and humbling But that's what it is when we're going through trauma, period. Because, and the reason why it is because we're so potent as souls, we're so bright, and we know on such a deep level, we already know so deeply that when we touch into these little nerve points where it feels so sensitive, it feels so counter to who we truly know ourselves to be. We're like, this doesn't make sense. And we feel shameful or awkward or whatever. And all of those emotions are just related to us truly knowing who we are and then feeling this very small part that totally isn't us. And so depersonalizing, understanding that we have to depersonalize our issues first so that we can really face them. And that's what we were doing at the beginning, is beginning with nothing. Getting down to this very deep 0 point of nothingness. Because from there, you've reduced your nervous system activity to a point where you're not necessarily believing the things that you become aware of in your field, but then you can interface with them properly. Because this is all about, regenesis is all about relationships. And when you make the proper relationship, things heal instantaneously. When I had recurring UTIs, I had 7 UTIs back to back. The 6th one, I took ciprofloxacin, extremely toxic antibiotic. But at that time, I didn't know what to do. I was aware of all these intuitive things, but I didn't really have the structure in order to handle it. And when the 7th UTI came back, I was just such at a loss. And was so in pain. I was doubled over, about to go to the ER because it felt like I was about to explode. And I laid down on my bed and I just was crying. Like, I was like, literally, I was like, God, I am done taking antibiotics. Show me whatever I need to resolve, whatever I need to face, feel, think about, whatever it is, show me, because I am done. And one by one, all these memories started popping up that some of them I never had access to before. Some of them I just forgot about. And I did a practice of forgiving each piece. And we're actually going to do this exercise later. Forgiving each piece. And I did this for 2 hours. And I was feeling each little piece of energy move through. And I started to feel my bladder like going back down, like the inflammation starting to go away. And I was like less and less physical pain. I was like, okay, this is something I've never experienced before. I was like, I'm just going to keep going until it's completely done. And it takes a lot of patience. But 2 hours later, I no longer had a UTI. And not only that, but it never came back again. And anytime I would feel a tingle, even like months down the road, I'd be like, it would be my signal to my consciousness. All right, like, show me what I need to resolve right now. Show me what I need to be aware of and relate to in a better way. It's all like, all of this is just relationships. We think the body is being attacked by viruses, bacteria, fungus, mold, candida, parasites. Those are just reflections, different aspects of things that show you how you're relating to life. They're just, because we don't relate to life in a proactive way, we have these things that show us how to relate in another way. And it's not, one's not better or worse than the other, it's just experience. So there's that side where you are working with the emotions. a few months after this UTI situation, I had contact lens appointment, and they took photographs of my eyes. And unfortunately for me, because I was aware of this doctor's thoughts when he was sharing this with me, I knew that he was trying to save me from knowing that basically, like, I could have eye cancer. And he was, trying to just be very cautious about what he was sharing with me, but in minus the word, like, you're going to go blind, was very stern with me and said, call us the second you have any immediate eye changes. I was like, okay. And a couple months later, I'm driving in San Diego, and suddenly my eyes start burning, and they're stabbing sensations, burning inside, outside my eyes, and the pressure is constantly changing. And I start to, like, really freak out. There's a lot of anxiety there. And this goes on for 2 weeks. And when it first started, I asked my body, like, what's going on? My body was like, don't worry about it. Just relax, you're fine. And I'm like, okay, just going blind here, no big deal. And for 2 weeks, it continued to get worse. To the point where I was driving and I literally could not see anything. I could see, like, general shapes of things in front of me, but I could not see, and I was driving on the highway at like 60 miles an hour. And in that moment, I said, I command all the cells in my eyes to return to their original form, and all beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, perceptions, consensus realities, any distortions in my relationships with anything in life that are related to this issue, to be resolved now. And the second I said now, my eyes instantaneously went to 20/20. The stabbing, the burning, the pressure changes all completely ceased instantaneously. And I was like in shock. Like, I'm like, I was just kind of saying that, like, oh yeah, let's do this, whatever. And then it actually happened. But the next 3 days were the most intense emotional upheaval that I've ever experienced in my life. And all the distortions in how I had seen myself as a child, as a young adult, in current situations, different relations with different people, all these things were just coming up, and I was feeling all the distortions. And it wasn't like, when I say distortion, I mean between the way that I perceived it and the way that source perceives it. That's the distortion. The clarity between the distance, and the clarity or disclarity between where I am seeing things from and where source is seeing things from, and bringing those things together. That's what I mean when I say releasing all distortions. The distortion is how my personality, and not that that's wrong, is seeing something, but it's not necessarily from the highest perspective. And when you command that the physical return to its original form, which you can do, you're going to have to, magic is real and balance is required. So you can command, invoke something, but you're going to have to, quote unquote, banish something else in order for that new alignment to be kept in balance. The universe is always seeking balance. So there's the invocation, and then there's the clearing that has to happen in order for the administration of your consciousness to maintain balance. So I don't necessarily recommend commanding things to instantly heal, because the amount of, it can almost be re-traumatizing in a way because of how intense. Honestly, like, I've never experienced anything so intense emotionally in my life as I did when that happened. And that's when I learned, like, there's actually a grace in things not healing instantly. Like we think we want, me being someone that like enjoys this kind of ridiculousness. Like I like the idea of like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like heal something instantly. But there's a grace and a joy to letting things actually heal slowly. Because what it actually teaches us is that we're safe now. We're safe now in whatever conditions, whatever circumstances, whatever experience that we're having now. And some quote unquote illnesses or diseases, they last longer, not because something is continuously wrong with you, but because life wants you to continuously get better at seeing what is right now. And it's sometimes the endurance, the psychic endurance that we're gaining from things lasting longer than we want them to. There were moments in the meditation, in the morning of this session, morning, it's like only been an hour. I'm like, we've been here all day. In the earlier part of the session where I was like, I could feel some people wanting like it to kind of be over, like let's move on to the next thing, And that's when you keep going. It was in the moment when I am interfacing with my own inflammation in the bladder, when it's like, okay, that's enough healing. Like we're done. We don't need to continue going down whatever resentments are still seething underneath the surface. What's voicing that is the bacteria, virus, fungus, whatever it was, trying to live in the tissues because it is seeking to continue its own existence just as much as you are. But you have to be willing to go further and deeper than what got you there in the first place. So the intensity of an illness, of a disease, of a disorder, the intensity is equal to the amount of your soul's worthiness of continuing to be on the planet in an even more impactful way. So let's say something like cancer shows up. Cancer shows up, that's like the least regenerative feeling you could probably get when you get that diagnosis. We're going to go into this tomorrow. Diagnosis, dia, through gnosis, the knowledge of spiritual mysteries. So when you get a diagnosis, you're just about to go into a field of knowledge of spiritual mysteries. But before we understand what that actually means and we're moving in that direction, we can get really scared. And the diagnosis in itself can be its own series of shocks and conflicts in your body about what life is and all these things, right? That's the energy is stirring these things up for you to face things that may not have been faced. So the intensity is, oh my God, like this is happening to me. But every single illness is an activation. It's an initiation. Every emotion is an initiation. So life is trying to offer you initiations every single day. And essentially the goal, if there is one, is to tend to the initiations as they are small and gentle and graceful before God, life, source needs to use bigger grace in order to get your attention. So no matter what it is, it's grace. It's just life is like, how much grace do you need? Can I have a graceful taste of grace, or do I need a lot of grace in order to move forward? And a lot of these really intense diagnoses are really wrapped up in unworthiness. And a lot of deep traumas, there's like this unworthiness that's attached to them. But the unworthiness is misconstruing what's actually happening, because it's the small self looking at this and just using it as an opportunity to continue its life. Because the parts of you that feel small aren't you. The parts of you that feel constantly traumatized aren't you. What's you is untouchable. What's you is the thing that began as nothing after we got there. So how could I be so worthy to have cancer or whatever it is, you know? Because you're only you can move through that initiation at the time that you're moving through it, and that's why you're experiencing it. You are worthy of moving through and receiving all the support. You know, more delightful to receive the support before you need to get to that point. But it's not wrong that you got to that point. It's not wrong that you let things get all the way down to the most intense initiations that life could offer you through dis-ease and disorder. Dis-ease and disorder only exists so long as it is serving your journey. One of the most powerful things that I've said for myself in my own journey, it's not really something that you want to say to other people. It's not necessarily going to be viewed in the same way unless they're acting from a certain level of consciousness. But it's really powerful when you say it to yourself, and really powerful, even if you don't believe it, to activate this within yourself. And that is, I hope this lasts as long as it's needed to fully and completely transform me. When you can get in alignment with what it's there to do, things begin to shift very, very quickly. Because then you're on board with what life is trying to do inside of you, instead of being at war with just another thing to be at war with. Two little healing mantras that I gave last time we did this introduction that are really powerful before we do some cool little exercises. Every single morning, every day, and in every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day and in every way, I'm getting better and better. And every night before you go to sleep, or anytime anything comes up, thank you for showing me that this issue is already solved. One more thing really quickly. So I typically use this for when people are looking for their soulmate. Maybe never that or better. maybe never, that or better is a way to keep yourself in, or really just allow yourself to naturally be in quantum superposition, which is where all possibilities, where miracles are possible. And that is maybe never. So in consideration of whatever you want, I want this to heal. I want, I want this relationship. But in this context, like, let's say you want something to heal. Maybe it never heals. What comes up? What emotionally comes up when we think maybe never? Maybe this will never heal. All the things that come up in the consideration of the idea that this will never heal, those are all the limiting beliefs that turn themselves into all the feelings and everything that are actually preventing you from healing. So maybe this never heals. Face those emotions, face those beliefs, talk to source. We're going to do this whole activation in a minute, but talk to source in order to get the information and change the beliefs, change the emotions around it so that you can relate better. It's 11:11 on the 11th right now. That or better. That is specifically what you want. So this is honoring the human aspect of yourself. Getting very clear on exactly what you want to heal, how you want it to heal. Or the relationship that you want. This is the exact person that you want in your life. It's typically how I use it. Or better. So, or better is the availability and the acknowledgement that the creativity, the intelligence, the imagination that organized all of the materials that you witness as yourself and as life itself may have something better already planned out and designed than you could ever dream of asking to receive for yourself. And maybe never allows us to basically submit the human aspect to the crucifixion or the crossing into a new reality. And that being what we wish could happen, essentially, or better, which is the resurrection. And this is all, I mean, these are all just archetypes of dying and rebirth, the phoenix, however you want to see it, doesn't really matter. But this quantum superposition allows you to find the most efficient path towards healing. It's how plants absorb 99.99% of photonic light, because they only observe the path of the photon that reaches the chlorophyll receptor. It's like the most efficient solar power in the universe, because they're only observing the path where it reaches them. Well, when Source created all of this, it was only observing the most efficient path of each aspect of consciousness back into unity. So everything that you experience along your path is the most efficient path towards that unification. So I guess I'm just going to keep saying one more thing. It already happened. This is just the way it happened. It already happened. This is just the way that it happened. I used to say this in high school without really knowing what I meant, but this allows the relaxation of the nervous system into allowing the process of healing. And we're going to get into new medicine later, which is all science-based. It's super cool. But we're going to rewrite the complete understanding of what it even means to be in a body and how to relate to illness, dis-ease, all of these things. So we're going to focus on the alignment with spirit, getting into the actual science, CT brain scans of what it means to be in dis-ease. I hope this lasts as long as is needed to fully heal. I hope this lasts as long as it's needed to fully transform me. Just repeating the mantra for you. Yeah, it's some sort, I mean, I kind of say it differently every single time, but I hope this lasts as long as it's needed to fully and completely transform me. As long as it's needed to do whatever it needs to do in order, and so that I'm not the same anymore. Because life is trying to get us to evolve. So we're going to do, let's see. Yeah, so first we're going to do the activation of something that came to me about 10 years ago. When it happened, I knew that I was going to actually teach this at some point. And today's that day. So diamond consciousness is the term that came to me. And when it was shown to me in this vision, it was the I-A-M in diamond was capitalized, and the U-S in consciousness was capitalized. I am us. And I was kind of, at the time, it was like a kind of like moment. And then I was working with someone doing massage, and I put my hands on their back and just felt all the tension in their body. And I remember thinking, oh, I am us. And I said, in oneness with these cells, I command these muscles to relax now. And then his whole body just like melted. And then the massage was like 1,000 times easier than it would have normally been. So it's this understanding of the diamond consciousness is truly what we call unity consciousness. It is the full connection with everything. So this is what allows us to have those conversations, as you were asking about, because you're communicating with it as consciousness, as equal parts of consciousness. I've had conversations with bacteria when I had bacterial infections in my body, and they shared with me herbs and remedies that I'd never heard of. And then I Google it and find out that's what they use in Africa for this particular infection. You know what I mean? So it's like, when we really get to communicate with the body in this way, we can learn about things. And largely the inability of us to hear the body, what I'm getting, sometimes is a resentment between the body and the self. That the body is like, why would I tell you, you don't listen to me, kind of like energy. So we're going to do an exercise activating this consciousness in the body, which is really what the angels came to me in my room as a child and shared with me how to do energy healing. So this was given to me as a child. And when I actually got my Reiki in attunements, I was shown in my body how it actually like dropped the frequency of my being. Not that Reiki is wrong or bad, but just what had been activated in me was a different frequency that was incompatible with this energy. And I actually had another, a theta healer mentor back in the day, undo those attunements for me. And it was like the greatest relief that I experienced. So we'll do that. And then we're going to go into a really amazing exercise of basically how I healed my UTI in the course of 2 hours of doing this work. And then I'm going to give you some homework, and you'll just write down all these things, and you can do that at your own pace and time whenever you choose to. But we'll do resentment between the self and the body. So forgiving the body for the experiences that it's had that we're like, oh, you know, because there's the consciousness and then there's the consciousness of the body. And the body can have all these experiences that we as the consciousness that are dwelling inside of it don't like, right? That distance between self and body is the distance between your soul and your embodiment. And this process of interior design is designing the relationships of your interior to heal your anatomy. So it's a process of embodiment that we will be going through. It can be very tender, a lot of emotions, things can come up. So as we go through the next 10 sessions, just be gentle with yourself and understand that not everything is as it appears on the surface. I'll tell you, as doing this kind of work for many years, I sometimes feel things that are going to come up in sessions, you know, weeks ahead of time sometimes. And I've become aware that what I'm feeling is not necessarily my own. And it would be good to begin just questioning your reality in a little bit, in the sense of maybe, you know, because all of us are healers and all of us are transmitting consciousness into the world around us. And everything that you go through is part of adding to the quality of your transmission. So the things that you experience now, first depersonalize it. It's not about you. It's about what you're capable of alchemizing. You're worthy of whatever is coming to you to be alchemized. So just closing your eyes, getting comfortable. Just taking a few deep, slow inhales and exhales. As if you could breathe into the bottoms of your feet. Settling into your own body as I do the same, and then we'll begin. And with your permission, just asking Source to begin opening the channels of your body that are related to energy healing, your connection to Source. It's about your connection to Source, strengthening, tonifying, expanding, opening, activating, initiating you into your own connection to Source. And as this is occurring, just grounding yourself into the earth, allowing the energies of the earth to rise and meet all the energy systems in your body. You may feel some pressure in your crown or in your third eye. It's opening up to source, allowing the energy to complete the circuit, flowing in through the top of your head and out through the bottoms of your feet, and recycling back again. It's the flow of Aloha Ma. It's your own energy. Constantly replenished by the source within you. It's commanding and requesting that the channels between the fifth eye or the occiput, the back of your neck, this is the connection interface between spirit and form. You've taken Anatomy of Knowing with me, then you'll know exactly what I mean. But even if you haven't, just feeling the energy center at the back, the soft part at the back of your neck. That's why so many movies, Avatar, Matrix, they all talk about this point in various ways. Whether consciously or subconsciously, we all know that this is our connection to the spiritual realm. It's commanding and requesting that this connection to spirit and the channels between your hands and your feet are cleansed, cleared, purified, and released of all obstructions, distortions that are incongruent and incompatible to transmitting, receiving, understanding, perceiving, and moving divine healing, intelligence, diamond consciousness, diamond light healing. It's feeling the energy plugging into the back of your skull, purifying, cleansing your field. Commanding and requesting that the crown and the fifth eye, the back of the head, the channels between them and the third eye be cleansed, cleared, purified, and released of all distortions in the highest and best way for you at this time. Commanding and requesting that the channels between these and the central channel down to the root be cleansed, cleared, purified, and released of all distortions, blocks, or barriers to the free-flowing movement, transmission, understanding, perception, and offering of source energy for your being, for yourself, and for others when appropriate. Commanding and requesting that this healing energy move throughout each vertebra and your spine. Cleansing, clearing, purifying, releasing all that's not in resonance with your soul's highest, best, and most optimal expression, embodiment, and integration now. And downloading for you that you know how to do energy healing, that you know what it feels like to do energy healing, that it's possible to do energy healing, and that you have sources, understanding, truth, definition, and value of healing with energy from the highest perspective. That you know how to channel healing energy, when to channel healing energy, and that you do channel healing energy, that nothing has ever been in your way of doing this. Nothing is in the way. And that you are the way. Of the energy that's healing you now. That you know what it feels like to be connected to everything. That you are connected to everything, that it's possible to be connected to everything, that you have the Creator's truth, definition, and value of being connected to everything from the highest perspective. That it's easy for you to love everything. That you know how to love everything with boundaries, with respect for yourself, for others. You have the Creator's truth, definition, and value of agape love from the highest perspective for your fullest expression of self and form. It is commanded and requested that for each of you in your highest, best, and healthiest way, in full accordance with your soul's direct connection to Source, that you are activated, initiated, and fully embodied with diamond consciousness, with all the tools, abilities, and requirements in order to activate, use, and receive diamond healing light in direct accordance to Source and the instructions that you're given in any moment from your inner wisdom, from the Source within, that you know how to listen to instructions, that you know what it feels like to listen to instructions, that all battles with inner authority, all battles with authority, all battles with your inner authority are laid to rest in the highest and best way. That the value, the truth, and the definition of relationship with Source, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, is brought into the highest light, understanding, and perfection within every cell of your being. That you can trust healing energy, that you can trust healing is already done, that this is the way that it happened. Commanding and requesting that this energy open the channels of clairaudience for you and whatever is the highest and best at this time. And integrating that across all layers and levels of your being, that you know what it feels like to listen to yourself, to listen to God, to listen to Source, to listen to the universe, to listen across all senses, known or unknown, remembered or forgotten, discovered or undiscovered. Asking that these energies activate your vision, that you know what it's like to see, how to see, when to see, what to see, that you have the clarity of seeing, that your third, fourth, and fifth eyes are cleansed, cleared, purified to their highest capacity as is best and optimal for you at this time. That you can see clearly across all senses, all layers and levels of being, in all contexts that are appropriate. Asking that these energies clarify your clear feeling across all layers and levels of being, from physical to ethereal, that you know how to feel clearly, that you know the difference between your feeling and the feelings of others, that you know the difference between your thoughts and the thoughts of others, that you know the difference between your knowing and the knowing of others, your emotions and the emotions of others, that you can easily feel and perceive the difference. That you can trust your feelings. Commanding and requesting that these energies activate, initiate, and embody all aspects of your consciousness that are ready to be in complete alignment with clear knowing. That you know what it feels like to just know things without needing to know why. That you're comfortable to know that it's okay to know. That it's safe to know. Commanding and requesting that any times in this life or any life across any incarnation, throughout all genetic historic history, in your lineage, maternal, paternal, ancestral descendants, where knowing, seeing, feeling, hearing, understanding beyond the five senses brought you harm, destruction, death, insecurity, or instability, commanding and requesting that all of these events are cleansed, cleared, purified, returned to source, and replaced with your soul's highest, best, and deepest understanding, integration, and embodiment of your higher senses in the highest and best way for you at this time. Just allowing that in if that feels good to you. Something completely new to me in this moment, but clear silence, that you understand and know what it means to be silent, how to be silent, when to be silent, that it's possible to be silent. How do you know that you're not already silent? How do you even know that your mind is busy or that you're emotionally overwhelmed?
In progress.
Sitting and pondering, that you know what it feels like to ponder, that you know how to be open, when to be open, what it feels like to be open, that it's possible to be open, and that you're available for when, if, and if it's necessary to receive information through any of your senses. And that you know how to do this without being overwhelmed. That you know how to experience your psychic and intuitive abilities without being overwhelmed. Commanding and requesting that any new neural connections within any part of your brain, nervous system, energetic system that need to be upgraded, integrated, and embodied with these downloads that allows for you to process information in the highest and best way for you, in a way that's easily understood, categorized, utilized. Be done so now in the highest and best way. That you know how to run energy, that you know how to run energy in the highest and best way, that you know how to move energy, what it feels like to move energy in the highest and best way, that you know how to ask source when you don't know, that you don't know, just so that you know you can ask, and what that feels like. That there's never a moment when you don't know, that you just have a moment where you need to ask. And if you don't receive anything, you don't need to know. And sometimes not knowing is just asking you to come into stillness, to silence, and to peace, and that you're comfortable being in stillness, silence, and peace. Just commanding and requesting that if commanding and requesting for each individual in the highest and best way, whatever is optimal for each of them, listening now or later. Any activations, downloads, initiations, embodiments as it relates to diamond consciousness, to diamond healing light, to activating the ability for energy healing for the self or others. Asking that any beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, perceptions, or consensus realities related to this being possible or not, good or not, or anything related or associated that needs to be shifted or changed, and preventing the full accessibility and use of your gifts, talents, and abilities from physical to spiritual as it relates to healing and resolution of all tissues, all organs, all systems, all layers and levels in all bodies. Asking that you know how, when, where, and what to do in any moment as it relates to healing. Even if it's just to ask a question. That you have the confidence to heal. And asking each of your angels and guides that are assisting in this process to finish, complete, and integrate any aspects that need to be completed or integrated for you on your behalf in the highest and best way, and done so whenever is most appropriate for you, now or while you sleep. Thank you. It's done. It's done. It's done. Show me. And just placing your hands in kulike, it's ancient Hawaiian. It's how we greet, but it's also how we really greet ourselves. Placing your left hand on your lower belly and your right hand on your chest. And just silently or quietly to yourself, this commanded and requested that diamond healing light be sent to every single cell of my body now. And show me how to do this. Breathing in and out. Allowing each in-breath to pull in this pearlescent white light. Allowing it to go wherever it is needed in your body, in your mind. It's the energy of love. Every single cell in this body is working tirelessly to exist for you. What does that feel like? Your body has existed your entire life, no matter what you did to it, whether perceived negatively or positively. It's been here serving you. It is the most humble servant of the divine that you are. Imagine what's possible when you equally bow in the presence of it, honoring it, the relationship to the consciousness of your body, commanding and requesting that you know how to relate to your body, what it feels like to relate to your body, to have a relationship with your body, that you know how to talk to your cells, what it feels like to talk to your cells, that it's possible to talk to your cells, that you have the Creator's truth definition and value of talking to your cells from the highest perspective. that you know how to listen to your cells, how to listen to yourselves. That you understand, know, and feel your body's needs, that you know how to understand, know, and feel your body's needs, and that you know the difference between your body's feelings, needs, and requirements, and that of the needs balance, needs and requirements of that which is keeping you out of balance. Just feeling the energy moving through your body, just commanding and requesting that the energy centers in the palms of your hands for receiving and transmitting healing energy be widened, the capacity expanded, and the channels between the palms of your hands and your heart be widened, expanded in the highest and best way for you at this time. And from the heart to the bottoms of the feet and the channels and the centers in the feet. Some of you are feeling some interesting sensations. That's your own DMT. And if you're having trouble feeling energy, just breathe more slowly. The more slowly you breathe, the easier it'll be to feel. Commanding and requesting that any psychic blocks or barriers to integrating more of your abilities that are natural and inherent to your being, asking that these be pulled, cleansed, cleared, and purified from your being, replaced with unconditional love and light. Asking that any filters or distortions that are incongruent with your new 0-point field are pulled, cleansed, cleared, purified from all of your eyes. And replaced with the Creator's truth, insight. Just allowing this, if this feels good to you, closing the gap in any distance or misunderstandings between your will and divine will. And purifying all of your intentions according to your soul's highest, best, and healthiest in accordance with your divine connection. And just asking that we pull from your digestive system any misunderstandings, any misperceptions, any consensus realities, programming from collective consciousness that has nothing to do with your highest, best, and healthiest. Asking that these be pulled from your digestive system and anywhere they have integrated or embodied in your system that are incompatible and disresonant with your highest truth. And asking that these be pulled, released, and sent back to God's light and replaced with your soul's highest, best, and healthiest understandings, perspectives, perceptions, and realizations for you at this time that allow you to easily integrate and digest and assimilate all of Source's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in the highest and best way. Thank you to Sun. And from here, just going to Source, whatever that feels for you, whether it's within you, above you, doesn't really matter. Just connecting with the light. As a focal point of gratitude. It's not a light that's other than you, different than you. This light is you. Gratitude for the opportunity to connect and remember the resiliency of your being, that you have these tools to call in light, wherever you feel density in your body, placing your hands over your heart and your gut, or wherever you feel this density, and just saying, it is commanded and requested that diamond-like healing restore this aspect of my being to its original form. And that all that led to these distortions are healed to completion now. Boom. And just feel. You can also just say, it is commanded and requested that my being is filled with my soul's highest and best light at this time. Ask that any density be pulled from your being and replaced with that light. But the channels in your being that have been opened and widened, these are the channels through which more of that consciousness can move through your being. And as we move through the course and clean out more and more of your energy body, the more clearly these channels of energy will widen, your capacity to heal will improve, and the possibility of what can heal will also improve. Think of the word improve. I am I'm proof. I'm proof. So part of this process is realizing what's possible by having these experiences. Little things begin to shift in your subconscious. Understandings, realizations, commanding and requesting that any understandings, realizations, or perceptions directly from your soul that are important for you at this time to activate, integrate, and embody these energies in the highest and best way be done so now. Feeling that incoming light enter your field. It's not something I'm doing, it's something that we're just calling directly from your soul, your soul's connection. Asking that the creator's truth definition and value of making a command and a request from the highest perspective be given to you now. That you have the right to command and request. And that it's coming from the highest and best within you. Commanding, requesting that all distortions around unworthiness, inability, all religious dogmas, whether held within the historic, the genetic, or the collective belief structures, be cleansed, cleared, purified in the highest and best way, and replaced with your soul's direct connection to source and that understanding and that alone. And one final step, just asking the angels of integration to integrate these energies in the highest and best way. So when it comes to like working with energy, angels, whatever you want to call it, you're basically an angel for everything. So angels of integration, angels of healing, you can say that. That's a really fun way. When I used to do massage, I would say, I would talk to the person's guides and say, show me how to massage this body. Show me what needs to be done. And then following the instructions. Okay. How's everyone feeling? Do we need a break? There's a short little exercise and then we're done for today.
Yes, to a 30-second break.
Okay, 30
Maybe
seconds.
a minute.
Okay, maybe a minute.
Barrett, I'm so sorry I have to leave.
All good.
This is as long as I can stay, but oh my God. I'll talk to you a little later, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Aloha.
you.
You're
Aloha.
welcome.
Mhm.
Would anyone like to share their experience, comments, questions?
Okay, I'm back.
Awesome. I think everyone's back. Maybe not Gonzalo. Awesome. All right, how's everyone feeling? Good? Awesome. So the next exercise is something that came to me actually just a few days ago. And yeah, so kind of a live storytelling, right? So I moved into the jungle and the mold is what was causing the issue, you know, on the surface. So I was reacting in hives, but all mold is related, all fungus is related to resentment issues. So I'm like, oh, cool, another layer of resentment. Like, I wonder what could possibly, you know, be showing up right now. And I was driving in my car and the idea came to me to have the body forgive me of its experience of me, you know, because we go through these lives and we're like, we basically use our bodies like machines, thinking, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna drink this coffee and do this thing. And when I was younger, like, you know, pop this Molly and dance all night, you know, it's like, there's, you know, it's not wrong, but when we stop listening to the body, there can be this kind of like resentment that is in the tissues of the body because it has its own consciousness. So just repairing that relationship, and it's something that I never thought of. And so before we do it, basically the same thing that I did with the UTI. You can do this with anything to begin to help the process and honestly, like, completely regenerate different tissues. So going back into that meditation space, or using the pain that you're feeling, but if there's no pain to focus on, just sitting with nothing, getting to that deep place of meditation. One of the quickest ways that I do it is I put my tongue to the roof of my mouth. I've trained myself every time that I go into that deep theta brainwave space, which is just like, you know, when you get to a really deep space, but and there's different exercises that you can do by focusing above your head, like there's an orange behind your head like this, focusing on the orange that can pull you into theta almost instantly. I do it by putting my tongue to the roof of my mouth, and yeah, but you don't need either of those tools. Just getting into a relaxed meditative state. And the words are, it is commanded and requested that I forgive this situation or this person. So I'd be like, all right, universe, show me what needs to be healed and resolved here. What do I need to resolve? And then let's say a memory pops up, you know, my sister took my popsicle when I was a kid. I'm like, okay, you know, it can seem kind of like trivial, but there's like, when we're a kid and that happens, there's such a charge to that, and that energy is still living in the cells. So as ridiculous as some of these memories can be, work with them as if they are like the most pressing issue right now. So then it is commanded and requested that I forgive my sister for taking my popsicle, like whatever the memory is. Thank you. It is done, it is done, it is done. Show me. Or it is commanded that I forgive this situation. Show me. Thank you. Show me. Thank you. Show me. Show me is important because you're witnessing the healing. The thing about what I've learned, like, I used to do this by me doing the healing, and it was a lot of energy that I had to do in order to help people heal, whatever, because I was the one that was doing this. The words show me, you're commanding life itself to show you what you're saying is done. And you're witnessing the healing being done. And it doesn't take any of your own energy to do this. So you're collaborating with life itself. And the results that I've gotten since I started doing that are way better than when I was doing it on my own. So we can sit for a minute and just, or write out for yourself. What are some of the things that I resent about my body? Or have resented? What do I remember having resented? Sometimes it's not something in the present, but in the past. Do I resent being too thin, too fat, too anything? Sometimes we don't like different parts of our body. Maybe we don't like the feeling, the thought, the idea, or the experience of aging. Imagine being the body and the one who's inhabiting you resents aging, and then the body is like, well, like, think of it as like a little child, like, fine, well, I'm just going to put this little wrinkle here just so you give me some attention, because there's not going to get the attention unless you're resenting me. Like, sometimes the body can we can have such a distorted relationship with the body that the only way it gets our attention is by giving us things that we don't like to experience. So now in your mind or on your paper, whatever feels like the strongest pull, like what is the most like resentful piece that is showing up for you? Yes, I'm going to repeat it in just a minute. So whatever is showing up for you most. Now, sitting with your eyes closed or open, usually closed works better when you're first starting doing it. Getting into relaxed space. You don't need to do any fancy steps, but it does help if you're in a deeper brain wave. You can do that by focusing as if there's an orange behind your head, at the top of your head. You can do that by placing your tongue on the roof of your mouth. It actually activates a channel of energy directly to your pineal. But I like to do it thinking going further than that, so the crown of the head. You're actually touching an acupoint. I'm bringing that issue to your awareness and saying out loud to yourself silently, but at first I recommend saying it out loud. It is commanded and requested that I forgive this issue. And however you see or feel it, you and that issue in your mind's eye, and just sharing your resentment with it. How did that make you feel? What did it make you feel? Why do you resent it? allowing yourself to express freely and completely. If it's a person in this vision, does this person show remorse? You're talking to their soul, the consciousness of whatever this issue is in your body. Now moving on to the next thing in your list, or maybe something came up in the middle of that. Focusing on that next thing, the next deepest layer. It is commanded and requested that I forgive this. Show me. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next part. Saying this out loud. It is commanded and requested that my body forgives me. What does your body have to say? What feelings arise? This can be pretty tender for some people. That tenderness is the feeling of intimacy being rekindled between you and your body. Talk to your body. Is there anything I need to know right now that can help our relationship be better? Going back to source, the light of that, rinsing off from that experience. Now, when I ask you the question, who in your life do you resent the most? Or who has bothered you the most? Sometimes that's a better question to ask. Whoever comes up to mind first, whoever that is. Going back into the same thing, it is commanded and requested that I forgive whomever this is, and witness your higher self and the higher self of the other having a dialogue. Share whatever you need to share to them, how they hurt you. Do they embrace you? Do they turn away? Now, continuing to focus with this person, it is commanded and requested that my body forgive this person. From the body's perspective. Before we go to the next part, just downloading across all dimensions, time and space, throughout all languages that you speak, for all ancestors and descendants as is appropriate, and integrated perfectly throughout all bodies down to the cellular level, that you know what it feels like to forgive yourself, that you know how to forgive yourself, that you know that it's possible to forgive yourself, and that you have the Creator's truth, definition, and value of forgiving yourself from the highest perspective. And that it's easy to forgive yourself, and that you've always deserved and are worthy of forgiving yourself, and that you can easily do so now. And now bringing you in relationship to yourself, in this vision between you two, it is commanded and requested that I forgive myself. Thank you, it is done, it is done, it is done, show me. And witness what needs to be said, what needs to be felt, what needs to be heard. Allowing the light of source to provide all the healing, energy, and love. Downloading every cell of your being with Aloha Ma, with self-reflective love, with unconditional, causeless love. The energy of okayness, no matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, what you've thought or felt, allowing your soul to witness, feel, experience, and know deep okayness. That you are okay, that you know what it feels like to be okay, that you know it's possible to be okay. This feels good to you, asking that your nervous system be downloaded with the understanding, feeling, knowing, and the possibility of being okay. And asking that any experiences, any agitations to the nervous system that are held within your nervous system on any layer, level, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered, that do not resonate with the energy of okayness to be pulled, cleansed, cleared, and purified, and replaced with your soul's deepest relaxation, ease, and grace. And just integrating that. Going back to the light of source, whether within or above you. Just allowing that light to bathe every cell of your being, grounding your energy. And whenever you're done, coming back to the space. So this exercise, I taught this in a written format to a client a couple months ago, because she was hearing what I was doing in a previous session, and she's like, I want to do that, and I was like, okay, well, this is all you have to do. And that next week she got strep throat, and she followed the instructions, just wrote out. I was like, there's something that you want to speak, right? Because it's always the quality of kind of where things are, right? So if it's in the heart, it's like really something that is like felt, or the gut, it's like things that you haven't fully digested. If it's in the throat, it's like resentment that wants to be spoken. So I just said, like, yeah, write down all the resentments of things that you want to say, like write down everything that you wish you could have said at any point in your life. And strep throat vanished. No antibiotics. Just getting rid of that resentment, because that's what the bacteria, we'll get into this later, but the bacteria are literally helping eat away energetically that energy. So you can go through it that way, or you can go through in the more chosen, conscious, graceful way of moving the energy in other ways. So, and I love what you said, like, I can give this to myself. I when I was in LA a few months ago, and again, we're going to get into so many cool things. In German New Medicine, there's these things called tracks. So anyways, when I was in high school, I had a very particularly intense relationship moment with my father. And then at the same time, I got mononucleosis. When I was in LA a few months ago, my dad and I were really bringing together this whole new level of healing in our relationship. And it was actually at the same time that I healed my eyes. So it was the distortion in how I was perceiving him in the relationship, because I was seeing from this old perspective still. So I healed that, and then all the emotion comes up. And he said something that really triggered all that exact moment in my life. And all of a sudden I have mononucleosis again. So I'm in the sauna at WeSpa. If you ever go into LA, Wilshire Avenue, oh my God, this spa is amazing. WeSpa, and my tonsils are the size of like golf balls, and it hurts to swallow. I sometimes can barely breathe. That's how big everything was expanded. I'm sitting in the sauna and I'm like, hey, tonsils, like, what's up? Like, what is going on right now? And all I hear is, I can't trust him. I can't trust my dad. I can't trust the masculine. I can't trust them. And it was all related to masculine energy. So I, sitting within my own masculine, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, can I be the one that you trust? Can I be the one that protects you? And immediately got a yes, an internal yes to that. And the moment that I got that yes, my tonsils instantly flattened and I could breathe again. And it was so shocking because I didn't even think, at that point I was still like, how are these like massive physical changes just miraculously happening when there's that alignment with the body's language? Because everything is now. So we have to begin understanding that the way that we're talking is affecting the body now. So I can't trust him. I can trust myself. I don't have to be able to trust him right now. We can work on that relationship, but it's this internal environment, interior design, the design with myself. So first, it's that, as I said, like aloha ma, it's the energy of self-reflective love. So I have to make sure that the relationship with myself is first well designed. I can work with others later, but can I trust myself first? And that can instantly shift things in really powerful ways. So yeah, amazing work, everybody. I'm so excited for tomorrow. So tomorrow is also going to be 10. I would plan probably 10 to 1. We might go a little bit later if people have questions or whatnot. I really want to give as much availability of my time, and also while respecting yours. The replays will always be available after every session. If you are continuing with us tomorrow and have not paid, the 11/11 pricing for that is still available. And we will, after tomorrow, vote on when we would like to meet each week, either Saturday or Sunday, and generally what time. I don't really mind. Would be awesome if it was during my daytime. I think it would be, right? No matter what. Yeah, if you're on the East Coast, whatever. So yes, in the morning or the early afternoon sometime on Saturday or Sunday. What else? Tomorrow is day 1. We are doing diagnosis. That's the name of tomorrow. We're going to be talking about viruses, bacteria, fungus, mold, candida, parasites, and we're going to be working with beliefs around each of these and how to help your body heal from a particular, whatever particular issue is. And then we're gonna get into like resources and tools and all kinds of stuff outside of what I'm providing, in addition to, and essentially like the way that I found those is amazing, because I've just been doing all, I never listened to like teachers or anything until I met Matt Kahn. Never really looked into these other things because I just trusted what my journey was providing. But then resourcing is amazing, because then it's like, oh yeah, wait, I already knew that. I'm checking in with this. So what I really want us to cultivate throughout this whole thing, and really the intention of regenesis, this beginning of regenerating into a new octave of ourself, is that we know how, we have the tools, and we trust, we have the ability to heal ourselves, and that we are healed, and that this is the process in which resolution took place, which is the most important piece. And we will resource ourselves first, really train our intuition, because honestly, like I was born very psychic and intuitive, but I've been testing my whole life. I hear a thought and I'm like, I feel like that's that person's thought over there, and then asking them a question about what they were thinking to see if they respond, and then they're like, oh my God, I was just thinking that. Cool, now I realize I'm in tune with the thought field. It's not my thoughts. So these are all things that we're going to play with, and all kinds of exercises and fun things over the next couple of months. Yeah, I'm excited. And then, and what I was going to say, so tuning in with yourself first, then using the resources that I'll be providing and sharing with you guys. Because then that's how you can test. You can be like, oh yeah, someone else is getting the same message. That's because it's not like there is an intuitive message that you're not getting. It's just that the body has particular messages and languages that it's using to describe things to you, for your higher self to communicate with you, so that you can move forward in the highest and best way for your journey at any given moment in time. And with that, I love you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Aloha.
Hey, Barrett, I'm going to send you a message on Facebook Messenger, just because I know you don't check stuff off.
Yes,
Thanks.
sounds good.
Thank you, sweets.
You're welcome. Aloha.